Okay, so we're going to have a look at some vibes for PhaseMistress on the Tech House track now. Now there's some areas that typically work really, really well for electronic music in terms of phasing. Now, one thing I'd say to start with is phasing hi-hats and also flanging hi-hats. Although we're not going to do flanging specifically, we're going to look at obviously PhaseMistress, which is the phaser, but those techniques work really, really well on hi-hats. So let's find our hi-hat part to work on. So this is kind of like a noisy kind of 909 style hat. So I'm going to bring PhaseMistress on here. Now what this is going to allow us to do is add some really good rhythmic interest to this part. Now this is great for tech house, techno, music where there's not necessarily that much going on and that much changing. And it's important to keep the listener interested. Just having that subtle movement on elements can be really, really powerful. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the mix control down a little bit. Let's actually do this while we're playing the track. Okay, I'm going to try boosting the input and taking down the output, see if we can get some kind of saturation going. Let's loop a different part of the track. Okay, so I'll take the effect off. So add some really nice movement to it. Now we've got to be careful because we don't want it to sound too cutting and too piercing to the ears. So that's why I'm playing with the resonance control, because that's going to determine how much resonance there is to these kind of phased boosts in the signal. So by taking that down, it's going to smoothen the effect slightly. We can also determine the amount of modulation as well. Okay, that sounded quite nice. As you can see there. So we can do this using our rate control here and our wave shape, or alternatively we could choose rhythm and we can actually do it by beats of the bar. So that way we can be really, really precise with how we implement the modulation. Okay, so I'm going to put this back to the LFO and bring down the modulation, bring down the resonance. So we have quite a subtle effect. Okay, so let's find some other places we can apply this. This is the kind of vocal drum loop we had a look at in a previous video. Okay, so that sounds pretty good just straight off. So let's try that in the mix. So that's adding really nice movement to those elements. Let's try it one more time, in and out. Okay, let's take the track on a bit further. Now we've got these chord parts here. Now I've bussed them to their own bus, so both of them have got the sound going through the same bus. Let's try and get some cool movement going with these chords. So I'll change the mix control. Let's actually do it in solo. We'll mess around with the parameters so you can hear it. So it's definitely adding some nice extra rhythmic interest to that part. Let's hear it in the mix. That's really cool. So those 3 phase mistresses on this tech house track have allowed us to add some extra rhythmic interest. Now one more thing I want to try on this track is on the clap. We've got this Echo Boy and Little Plate combination. Let's add a phase mistress after this, because quite a nice thing to do sometimes is to actually phase your reverb returns. Let's try this in the mix. Let me just take off a couple of the other phase mistresses so we can hear it a little bit more clearly. So we can go more extreme with this if we want to. So maybe in this track, it's a little bit too busy to support this, but maybe during a section of the track, we could have this effect coming in to add just a little bit of extra automation interest to the arrangement. So that's another idea for PhaseMistress, applying it to your effects returns to again add extra movement. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples for our rock track.